welcome to Reland Films. I do hope that you enjoy this video. Don't forget, if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that bell. Like that you guys can get notified for anything and everything movie and series related here at Real in Films. I hope you enjoy this video. Good afternoon, everybody. How are you guys doing today?
Hi, John.
Hi.
Hi, John. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Usually, Annie knows this. Usually, I have like a dark background, but today I'm in my other office, I would say. So there's no dark background. Usually, I have like a wood
Okay.
style. It would have been amazing for the theme of the film, you know.
Sure.
So
Well, the art behind you is also applicable.
Yeah, also, yeah.
yeah, it's all colorful. So welcome to Real in Films, and today we're going to be talking about The Mental State. Welcome all of you, like that we can talk about a little bit about the film and your experience on it. So I wanted to start with James in this case. What inspired you to bring this film to fruition, besides the fact that you directed it and as well was part of the ensemble of the writers?
Sure. Yeah. So I think it's always, hard to talk about like the origins of a story without talking about where the story goes. But I think it's something that I touch on because I grew up in a post-Columbine US. So a Columbine school shooting. So for us, there was a lot of weird, practicing lockdown drills and rehearsing exit strategies, and then having times where there was this like vague paranoia feeling being in school here in the US. And as I was coming into a young adult, Sandy Hook happened, and it was something that just, really stuck in me. And it was just something that, I started to become interested in making a story vaguely about that subject matter. I think maybe to just explore it more for myself. And at the time, I was talking with my girlfriend, who's now my wife, who's a fantastic actress, Remington Moses, who plays Counselor Melanie Hansen in the film, actually. And she introduced me to Josh Adele, who was the playwright of The Mental State, the play. And I read the play, and it dealt with so many of the social topics and the family dynamics I was looking for in a story like this. And I think the main thing was that he and I both felt that these sort of tragic events, when they happen, they're not covered in the same sort of like compassion or empathy or breadth necessary to explore the sort of hurricane of events that could lead to that tragedy. And then from there, it was just a matter of trying to bring it to screen with my other fantastic collaborators and writers, Josh Barclay and Jeremy Anderson. So,
Okay, yeah,
yeah.
that's amazing, and you do have a point because I don't remember how old I was when the Columbine incident happened, but I do
Mhm.
remember it being on the news and all, and it was everywhere, and there was a lot of
Yeah.
talks about it, and but nowadays it's something that happens and they don't cover it like it used to be before. It's something that they
Mhm.
just cover and that's it, and we go to the next piece of news.
News or, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like unfortunately, it's become more normalized.
There were
Mhm.
there were two shootings this week that made the news, and there were probably many more incidents of gun violence that we're not even aware of. But there were two this week. It's happening. It's so prevalent. It's so frequent, and
I
it's
I'm terrified of like what's happening. I've seen videos, like viral videos of these people who are pulling out this this makeshift um like shelter that is in these classrooms, and they're just like pulling it out, and then it becomes this metal room, and they're all like clapping and being like, wow, this is amazing technology, but it's like, why do we need this? Like,
Yeah.
it's upsetting to me that like that's the route that people are taking. Oh, let's just like make schools into jail cells that are
it's
like
more
that are
fortress.
bulletproof. Let's make bulletproof schools. Let's not like talk to people. And like, yeah, I mean, Carly, you mentioned something in one of the previous interviews, like why are we not having a class, like a mandatory class that's about communication
And
and
feelings.
yeah, and you know, it's like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean, like
so
to
weird.
those weird bulletproof school things, I mean, that was at one point in the writing process, we came across even, like little whiteboards that like to keep in the classroom for kids to write on for schools that were bulletproof in case something happened. So they would have like this little bulletproof shield. And it's like, that mindset is so in the wrong place of where it needs to be to address this. And
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
in the
like
writing process,
symptomatic.
coming across that.
It's addressing the symptoms and not the root cause.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the thing too. Like, in terms of our film, we do have an armed guard in the school. Like that is a
Mhm.
choice because that's not mandatory everywhere. There are lots of states that have armed guards, and there's lots of states that don't. But and that's a big discussion point as well. Does that make a school safer? To the point of bulletproof schools,
Yeah.
like, does more fortressing make your kids safer? How does that affect them otherwise? How does that affect their mental health, for instance, if they're in a school that feels like a jail? Like there are so it really is a comprehensive, they really are sort of like multifaceted and like it has to be addressed on a holistic level in order to figure out any solution.
You're
And
right, Kelly.
it feels so far from it right now, but
I mean, like
fine.
this is getting a little bit like
No,
off of the
yeah,
actual film itself,
yeah, yeah.
but I've also been in architecture school for a while now, and there is so much psychology that goes behind like the spaces that people exist in affects the way that they view themselves and their lives. So, you know, if you build a school that feels like a jail, you're going to start having people that act like prisoners in it.
Mm.
And that's
God, you
just,
really it's a very good point, Chance.
No, I really do like how this is turning out in terms of like the conversation, because this is a topic that it's not taken to fruition. People are there's not that much care about mental health, even though there are a lot of propaganda that it's talking about mental health. But do we actually see it in schools? Do we actually see it in our students? So it's really nice that you guys are giving your point of views about this of this situation, that it's now something that it's a norm, but it's not being tackled how it should be. So now this next question, it will be for Carly and Jans. I hope that I pronounced your name correctly.
yeah.
um Being the fact that this film touches such a very sensitive topic, how was it that you both got prepared for each of your roles? Because Carly had a very prominent role, but Jens, you were the main one in the whole story. So how you both got ready for your roles on the film?
Well, I mean, for me, was I felt extremely blessed that this I was given such a great responsibility for a role like this. And I wasn't 100% sure that I could pull it off, but I was like, there's no point in, like, I just have to do it. Um, and something that really I had to think about when preparing for this was I had to come at it from a place of love and compassion for this person. And even though Andy makes a ton of mistakes, like he made those choices for a reason. And I had to decide what these reasons were because you know, Andy was trying to save the world, really, you know, so I really think that Andy's intentions were good. And so I had to come at it from a place of like this person is experiencing so much inner dialogue that is unexplainable. So I had to become friends with myself and really decide like what we were gonna do with this. Luckily, I was isolated in a hotel room far away from my friends and family for 6 weeks in a cold and unfamiliar place. So I was able to have the time and space to really like deeply consider a lot of things. Yeah, I felt very supported on set with my journey.
Yeah, it definitely, I mean, I think that for me also, I wasn't sure how I was going to pull this off. Really, you know, I wasn't sure how I could embody Angela given how different her circumstances were to my own. Like Carly as the actor approaching that role, I was like, oh man, there's so many things that Angela has been through that I have not been through. I am not a mother. I am not a survivor of intimate suicide loss. I'm not an addict myself, but I've been touched by addiction in my life. You know, there were lots of things that I had to sort of contend with. And so it was really important to distill things down to like a simple sort of theme or cause. And for me, I really felt like reading this script, it was so clear that everyone in it is doing the best they can to protect the people they love. So that to me allowed me to go, well, I know what it feels like to want to protect the people I love. I know what that is. And then it was like that sort of entry point that allowed me to sort of crack open and hopefully stay open. And this is the other thing, just on a technical sense of like, as human beings, we have a lot of defense mechanisms. If we feel scared or if we feel unsafe or if we feel threatened, we can create various defense mechanisms. For me, I often kind of wall up. Like if I feel threatened or if I feel unsafe or if I feel scared, I'll just kind of like wall up. And it's very much flight, in the fight or flight sense. And I felt like to play a role like Angela, it was so vital to stay open. And because there was so much vulnerability that was needed, and there was so much vulnerability that was important to portray in the character, that you know, I had to do my work to ensure that I wasn't creating defense mechanisms. Carly wasn't creating defense mechanisms to protect myself, and that I was able to stay open. And that, of course, then like that's a testament to Jance, and it's a testament to James, and it's a testament to Alyssa and Allison and Brian and Michael and everybody, all the crew as well, that created an environment that was so supportive, like so warm and welcoming and supportive, that it allowed us, I think, I hope anyway, to all feel really free in what we were doing, to explore the hard emotions that we had to explore, and to deliver what we could, to be honest to the characters and to the subject matter.
Yeah, that's so important what you just said about the like staying open, because that's like I feel like I'm the same way. You know, I wall up, or I'm like pretty good at just being able to like be like, I'm good. Let's just move on, you know?
Yeah,
But in this case,
like conflict.
I really had to say, you know what? I'm gonna allow these dark thoughts to come in. I'm going to open the gates literally, and like let these kind of feelings that I would normally push to the side as just like, oh, that's just, you know, a demonic thought or something. Like in this case, I had to let them kind of fill me up. And that was a scary thing to do. So I am very grateful for everyone that made me feel safe as a human being on set.
And it is true what Jance was saying about being like, we were sort of in an isolated location in Syracuse. It does help just in terms of like like the geolocation, being far removed from people that you know, and also being far removed even from town. Like we were not in downtown Syracuse, we were outside, we were off the airport, we were off a highway. Like it was very much an isolated setting. And I think that that does sort of at least create some tone, and then you sort of find the family within in order to keep you afloat and keep you sane, which is important too. And I think we all did that really, really seamlessly, and it was yeah.
I think if I went back to Syracuse, it would hit me again.
Yeah. Totally.
It would.
Talking about the set and while all of you were filming. So James, this one is straight for you. Were there any challenges while filming? Because for what at least I noticed in the location, it seems that it's very humid. It's I imagine that it rains every day. I really don't know, so I didn't make my research about the place, but were there any challenges while you were filming?
Yeah, so we didn't expect snow or as much snow as we got. So that really added something. Like towards the final scenes, there's a lot of snow on the ground. And when that happens, you have your discussions with your assistant director to try to understand what to do. And you're limited to how much play you have into moving days and moving locations and everything and changing scheduling. And for us, we understood like, okay, well, there's a lot of snow right now, but there's only a couple scenes that kind of happen on this day in the story. And we could look at the snow and run away from it and try to do all this manipulation of the schedule and ask people to change or embrace it. And so for something like the snow specifically as a challenge, we embraced it. And I think it actually helped elevate the story in a lot of ways. Number one, it kind of helped give a timeline for the story, that it's not just something that came up and down in a week, but it kind of gives us this sense of happening over maybe a couple months of time, a few months of time. And I think also it adds some nice metaphor to the moment and what the winter means for us, on a yearly basis and where it stands within the story. So, I think challenges, you just have to see them and uh, get over them and embrace them the best way that you can with the resources at hand. And I was lucky to work with the group of individuals that we worked with and collaborators and actors everybody was really focused and on board to do what we need to do to make this story right. And so when a challenge came, we just addressed it and embraced it, like the snow.
Yeah.
Or like when it was like 4 degrees outside, because I did not account for wind chill at the amusement park that was like
Yeah,
right
and
off the
I
lake.
was
And
really sick. I was
yeah,
really
Chance
sick
really
that week.
pushed through
Like,
that.
there was a
So
couple of days when we were filming all of those carnival scenes that I was like
yeah.
literally like I would film and then I would like immediately like close my eyes and like lay down for like 5 minutes and they're like, okay, you're back
Oh,
on. That was fun. That was fun though. I mean, yeah.
Put some
I
hair on your chin.
So Jansen and Carly, I wanted to ask you both, because your characters are demanding, and that's something that you both touch up on the initial question that I made before when you on your preparation. And both of you mentioned a lot about mental health. Do you guys have to go through like a process when you finish the film, like to disconnect from the character to yourself as the day-to-day person? Because I know that it's sometimes other actors and actresses say that it is a little difficult to disconnect from your character when you're done filming. Was it difficult for both of you to disconnect from your character when you finished?
I mean, I feel like I feel like for me, I just like ran straight into like a cuddle puddle. Like that's what I just wanted, like all the cuddles and all the like, you just sort of want the nurturing at that point after something that's like an emotionally emotional upheaval. So like for me, it was but it was not because I was forgetting about the character. It was actually because I wanted to maintain the lessons I learned from her, which were to connect, to check in, to be more community oriented, and find solutions and stay loving and stay protective. So it actually, like, it's a bit of both. Like on one hand, you do need to kind of like shake it off, like it is, because it's in your body, that kind of like
Yeah.
that kind of grief and sorrow and difficulty and challenge and anger and like all the stuff that you have to that we had to contend with in the story is like it's in your body. So you do, massages help, and like wine nights help, and like cuddles help, and like all those things help, just like get it out. But really at the end of the day, I felt like I learned a lot from Angela, and I didn't want to put her to rest. I actually thought that lessons that I amassed from her I could keep with me and keep going.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I learned so much from playing Andy too, about myself and about like life. But I really did have to expel some of the thought patterns that I was developing, you know? Because at the end of the day, like Andy's mental state is not healthy. And I had to do a lot of work to get myself into a mode where I was thinking like that. And it was also a bit of work to stop those patterns from continuing into my daily life. Although I did learn stuff from him, I definitely had to expel it. And I think going back to the location thing, it was really nice, like being able to leave a place that was so frigid and sad to me, and go back to California where there's sunshine and warmth. And I think just literally going back home, like it felt like it was like a dream or something that I was able to wake up from, and I felt like a sense of relief. And yeah, I mean, there were like moments like, or certain songs that I had made a playlist with that I would hear randomly, and then it would like throw me back into it for a second. And I would like I would like take a deep breath and then like kind of, just give Andy a nod and thank him for the lessons I learned.
That's amazing. So I wanted to ask all of you, do you guys have any like funny moment or memory that for that you take to heart while you guys were filming?
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing that I like, I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but there was just this one day when my character Andy, is carrying a firearm. And
Oh,
I just,
yeah, this is yeah.
there was somebody, we were shooting outside, and there was somebody across the street that saw me walking into a school with a gun.
Well, we were shooting
Filming.
inside of you running into the school.
Yeah.
And so there was no camera
No,
equipment.
yeah, there's no
outside the
cameras
school.
outside.
Yeah. So
I was just
all
running
this
across
like
the field.
random pedestrian sees is the scene essentially,
Yeah, so
like what
cops
that
show up and
is.
they're like, I was like, am I gonna get arrested for like having
I
this?
mean, arrested, you would have been lucky to get only arrested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know it could have
Considering,
been.
yeah. So, and it was something that I know that we kind of had, the AD had notified the local law enforcement in some way, but something got lost in translation. So yeah, that was a very very crazy thing.
It was stressful, but I was
Yeah,
kind of amused by it in a certain way.
yeah.
So that was a fun memory for me. I mean,
This is much more trivial. This is a much more trivial thing, but we had a dialect coach who actually plays a teacher in the film, Tom.
Yeah.
yes.
And so with the Kentucky accent, the word can't becomes caint, like CAINT. And it was something that I still can't say. Here, I could, like, every time I say can't in the movie, I'm like, oh, I kind of got it there. Oh no, I definitely didn't get it there. Like I like but it was something that I remember, like on set, whenever anyone had to say can't, it was like we would kind of go like can't. It's just one of those things. It's just, anyway, that's anecdotal and much
Yeah,
I
I
loved
think
seeing Alyssa go from
Australian.
Australian to
she is.
Southern.
Yeah.
She's very talented,
Yeah,
like,
she is. She's
and then she would pull out her Valley Girl accent sometimes just to mess around, and I would be, she's great.
I think a funny moment I had was when we did the amusement park stuff, and I think we shot the roller coaster as like the last shot of the day, and the kids were all on it, and then we finished shooting, and it's like it's still freezing. Like we just spent all night outside freezing, and we got to break down. And I think like Delaney or Quinn was like, "Can we go on the roller coaster just to like enjoy it this time around?" And so we let them go again, and then some other crew members were asking to go on, and yeah, so that was a funny moment.
So, wanted to ask all of you as well, if you could describe the mental state in one word, how would you describe it? The challenge is one word, so this is just a thinking game in this point.
Should we each say one of them?
Yeah, each one say a different word.
Each
Yes.
say one of them, James. One of the pillars.
Oh yeah, one of the pillars. Yeah. Yeah, compassion, I guess. Compassion. I'll go with that one.
I'm gonna say protection, which is
Mm.
I'm gonna say protection.
One word to describe the film. That's a really tough question, honestly.
Yeah, man.
Got me with that one. Maybe just, oh God, I can't, I don't know if I can do this. It's like hard to pinpoint it like that. Like how someone would take it, or what the message I want to give out, or what?
It would be just a description, like how you would you describe the film in one word?
Honestly, like I'm gonna go with like devastating. I
Mm-hmm.
I don't want
Okay.
to I think maybe that's a spoiler alert, but in reality that's the truth. It's like this situation is devastating.
Now,
So many levels.
now just to let everybody know, the mental state will be available in all VOD and digital platforms on December 19th. As well, you guys can pre-order it as well on Apple TV and in iTunes. Now, before I start saying my goodbyes, I wanted to ask all of you, because the start of our conversation brought up a very, very big topic, that it's not being seen as it should be in the news and in social media and other platforms. What would be a message that you would give, I would say, the people in regards to this situation that is happening too frequently?
Like I think so, I mentioned compassion and kind of like the pillars as has been, what I want people to take away from is, compassion, empathy, and communication, and to for us to continue dialogue and discussions around these topics and subject matter, for people who see somebody going through something, to to like, let's take away some of the stigma and not try to judge them right away, and to try to offer help in ways that you can. And maybe that's not necessarily directly to the person going through a mental health crisis, but to their sort of bubble, to their family members, or friends. And for those who are going through something, to be able to ask for help, and for people to just check in with others too.
That's what I was gonna say, like even more so, not even more so, but as well as people who are showing signs of crisis, there's also, I think, a very valuable need to just check in. So that's what James was saying. Like, I think it's just really important to check in on the people in your life and in your sphere, because we never know what's going on behind the scenes. And a lot of the time people are ducks on a pond because of the stigma, underneath the water, they're like this, but on top they look perfectly serene and smooth. So I think it's really, really crucial, critical, vital for us to understand that there is a multitude of emotion that people experience for all the circumstances that come up in their lives, and we've got to look out for one another.
Yeah. It's a really tough balance trying to go between, um, empathizing for someone's struggle and then enabling their bad behavior. Because on one hand, Andy is a victim of circumstance. And on the other hand, he is responsible for every decision that he made. So these types of things are immeasurably complex. And the only thing that I would never say that a movie is going to save somebody's life. The only thing that I can hope for with this film is that it's going to give people kind of license to discuss and to have a more open dialogue about these kind of topics that might not be there if this was a documentary or if it was a real situation that happened. So I think the fact that it's in technically an entertainment format can allow people to be a little bit more comfortable with like taking a side or taking a stand on something. So that's what I hope people take away from it, is just being able to openly discuss these kind of topics without wanting to hurt each other or make someone feel like they're dumb for thinking a certain way, because this story is so important, because it really does give a lot of different perspectives on a very tough situation. So if people can develop empathy for somebody who is clearly in distress, that's great. If somebody can take away from this movie, like, okay, I know what I need to watch out for. Like, I can recognize the signs of somebody who is dangerous, and that's what I need to do to protect myself, is stay away from that person. Or if a parent sees this, they might, like you guys both said, feel the urge to check in on their kids and just there's a lot of things that are more than meets the eye. So
Well said, Jens.
Yeah, very well said. And just to add one tiny point that kind of strings with Jance, is that, like, I feel like Carly's character is as important to these sort of situations as Jance's character is. And that's why we end the film the way we did, because I want people to remember, like, when you talk about these events and the the sort of shooter or whatever, right? We need to remember that there is a parent there who was doing their best, and you know, and to remember their story as well, and the whole community. So yeah.
Thank you, James, Carly, and Jans. Thank you very much for giving us, my bad, your kind words and talking about the mental state, and as well those amazing messages from each and one of you. And for everybody that's watching or probably listening, remember the film will be available December 19 in all VOD platforms and digital platforms as well. And it's as well available to pre-order on Apple TV and iTunes. So thank you all once again for giving us the time here at Real in Films.
Thank you,
Of
John.
course.
Thank you,
Thank you.
John.
Bye-bye.